The night my son told me he needed to talk finances, I felt something shift in my chest. Not quite fear, not quite grief. Something older than both. I was 68 years old. I had lived in my own home for 31 years. I had raised 2 kids in that house, buried a husband in the middle of doing it, and kept the lights on through all of it with nothing but a teacher's salary and the kind of stubbornness that comes from having no other choice. My name is on that deed. My sweat is in those walls. So when my son called and said, "Mom, we need to sit down and talk about your situation," I should have asked him exactly what he meant by situation. Instead, I said, "Of course, sweetheart, I'll make the chicken you like." That was my first mistake, not the chicken. The of course. My son's name is Raymond. He is 41 years old, handsome the way his father was handsome, broad shoulders, easy smile, the kind of face that makes people trust him before he said anything worth trusting. He married a woman named Cassandra about 6 years ago. I went to the wedding. I wore blue. I cried, which surprised me, because I told myself I wasn't the crying type anymore. Cassandra is smart. I want to say that clearly, because what happened between us was never about intelligence. She has a business degree and a way of talking about money that makes it sound like she's quoting scripture. Precise. Confident. Final. I liked her, in the beginning. Or I liked the idea of her. Someone organized coming into Raymond's life because Lord knows that boy needed it. He'd been drifting since his 20s. Different jobs, different apartments, always 1 month behind on something. When they announced they were expecting a baby, Raymond called me first. He was crying, the happy kind, and I sat on my back porch and listened to him cry, and I thought, this is it. This is when he finally settles. I was right about that part, wrong about almost everything else. The sit-down dinner happened on a Thursday in October. I drove 40 minutes to their rental apartment in Crestwood, the one with the thin walls and the parking lot that always smelled like someone's dryer sheets. I brought the chicken and a bottle of Riesling that Raymond likes. We ate first. Cassandra had made a salad that she described as light, which I think meant she hadn't eaten much that day and wanted company in her restraint. The baby, my granddaughter Lily, 2.5 at the time, kept climbing into my lap and putting chicken in my hair, which I allowed. Then Raymond cleared the throat. "Mom," he said, "we've been looking at houses." I nodded. I knew this. They've been talking about buying for 2 years. "There's one in Fairbrook," Cassandra said. 4 bedrooms, good school district. It's a stretch, but with the right down payment, we can make the monthly work. I looked at Raymond. He looked at the table. "How much of a stretch?" I asked. Cassandra slid a piece of paper across to me. I looked at the numbers. The house was listed at $380,000. With 20% down, they needed $76,000 they did not have. "We've saved 40, Raymond said. "We just need a little help with the rest." I looked at the paper for a long time. Lily was pulling at my sleeve, saying, "Grandma, Grandma," in that way toddlers repeat things, not because they need something, but because they like the word. "Where would the rest come from?" I asked, though I already knew. Raymond finally looked up. "Your house is paid off, Mom. You've got equity. If you sold, you'd walk away with." "I know what I'd walk away with," I said. The room went very quiet. I want to be honest about what happened inside me in that moment, because I think it matters. I was not angry. Not yet. What I felt was something closer to vertigo, the ground shifting under a story I thought I knew. I had always believed that my house was mine, not as an asset to be liquidated. Mine, the way your name is yours, the way your memories are yours. The kitchen where I taught both kids to scramble eggs. The bedroom where I slept alone for 12 years after their father died and learned, slowly and badly, how to be a person without him. But I also looked at my son's face. He was nervous. He loved that girl climbing on my arm. He wanted something real, a yard, a school, a place that was his. And I understood that wanting with a clarity that hurt. I said, "Let me think about it." What I should have said was, Let me talk to a financial advisor first. Let me make sure I have somewhere to go. Let me not make a decision that can't be undone over dinner and a glass of wine. But I said, let me think about it, and Raymond looked so relieved that I nearly changed my mind right there. I thought about it for 3 weeks. I called my sister, who lives in Phoenix, and she said, do not sell that house, Eloise. I called my friend from the school where I'd taught for 22 years, and she said the same thing with more colorful language. I called a real estate agent just to get a number, I told myself, and he walked through my rooms with a clipboard and said I could list it 410, maybe 420 if I did a few updates. When I told Raymond the number, his face did something complicated. That's more than we thought, Cassandra said, which was not quite the same as saying thank you. I sold the house in the spring. I want to be clear about my feelings on this. Even now, I made that choice. No one held a gun to my head. I signed the papers with my own hand in an office that smelled like carpet cleaner and old coffee. Whatever came after, I have to hold that part. I walked away with $212,000 after fees and taxes. I gave Raymond and Cassandra $75,000 for the down payment on the Fairbrook house. I moved into a 2-bedroom apartment in Millfield, 20 minutes away. I told everyone it was temporary. The apartment was fine. Small, but fine. I had my things around me. I had my routines, coffee on the balcony, my books, the crime dramas I watch on Tuesday nights that my son has always teased me about. I had my pension from 30 years of teaching, about $2,200 a month, and between that and the money I'd set aside from the sale, I was comfortable. The call started about 4 months after I moved in. Raymond mostly, sometimes Cassandra. Lily keeps asking for you. She wants her grandma. We're drowning over here, Mom. The mortgage, the utilities, it's more than we budgeted. Raymond had to take on a weekend shift. Cassandra's exhausted. Lily's been having trouble sleeping. I started driving over more. Once a week became twice. Twice became 3 times. I started bringing groceries because the drive was long and it felt strange to show up empty-handed. I would stay through dinner, bathe Lily, put her down, drive home in the dark, radio on, feeling useful and slightly hollow in a way I couldn't name. You should just stay over, Cassandra said one night when it was past 9 and I was putting on my coat. I have my apartment, I said. It's a waste of money, she said. Not unkindly, practically, the way she said most things. Raymond was quiet. He had a way of going quiet when Cassandra said something he agreed with but didn't want to be seen agreeing with. You're here 3-4 days a week anyway, she said. We have the guest room. It would help us. It would help Lily. I looked at my granddaughter asleep in the next room, and I thought about the dark drive home, and I thought about the word waste, and I said, I'll think about it. I gave up the apartment in September. I brought my bedroom set, my reading chair, my kitchen things, even though they had their own. Raymond helped me move. He was cheerful in a way that had a slight edge to it, like he was being cheerful on purpose. The first month was good. I cooked most nights. I did Lily's laundry and mine. I helped with pickup from daycare. Cassandra seemed lighter. Raymond seemed relieved. There was a warmth in the house that I actually believed was real. Then the small things started. Comments at dinner about the thermostat. It's 74 in here. That's a lot for the bill. The way Cassandra would move things I'd organized back to where they'd been before, without saying anything. The way Raymond stopped asking how I was doing and started asking if I'd taken Lily to the park that morning. I cooked, I cleaned, I watched Lily when they went out, which was often, and when they had friends over, which was increasingly the arrangement. I bought the groceries most weeks because I was the one home and it felt like the natural thing to do. I am not complaining about any of that. I want to be clear. I am 68 and I am not fragile, and I do not expect to live somewhere for free. But there is a difference between giving because you choose to and giving until there is nothing left to decide. The first time Raymond brought up money directly was in February. We were in the kitchen. Cassandra was putting Lily to bed. He came in while I was doing the dishes and stood with his hands in his pockets the way he'd done since he was a teenager when he wanted something and didn't know how to ask. Mom, he said, we got the property tax bill. I turned off the water. It's more than we budgeted, he said. Almost 3,800, and the furnace has been making that noise. How much do you need? I said. He told me. I wrote him a check the next morning. I did not tell anyone about that. Not my sister, not my friend. I told myself it was a one-time thing, the kind of gap that happens when you're new to homeownership and things come up all at once. I remembered my own early years of owning that house, the water heater that died in January, the roof that cost more than I'd made in 6 months of teaching. Things come up. But things kept coming up. By summer, I had given them over $12,000 in what Raymond called help, and what I was quietly calling something else in my own head. Each time he asked, he looked embarrassed. Each time I said yes, because what was the alternative? Watch my son drown 20 feet from me while I sat on the life vest? Then in July, Cassandra suggested we consolidate. It would just be simpler, she said. We were at the kitchen table, the three of us, Lily asleep. She had a spreadsheet open on her laptop. Cassandra always had spreadsheets. Your pension comes in on the 5th. If we set it up so it deposits directly into the household account, we can just manage everything from there. You'd still have access. I looked at the spreadsheet. I looked at my son. It's your account, I said. It would be the household account, she said. We can add your name to it. Raymond, I said. He looked at the table. He said, it would make things easier, Mom. I said I would think about it. I want to tell you what I did that week, because I think it is the most important thing I did in all of this. I called my sister. She told me not to do it. I called my friend. She told me not to do it. Then I did something I had never done before in my 68 years. I made an appointment with a financial advisor. Her name was Ms. Tran. She was younger than Raymond and did not treat me like someone who needed to be explained to, which I appreciated more than I can say. I sat in her office with my pension statements and my bank account summary and the rough calculations I'd made on a legal pad, and I told her what was being proposed. She was quiet for a moment. Do you have a place to go, she said, if you needed to leave? I realized I did not. I had given up my apartment. My savings had been going out in increments. The $212,000 I'd cleared on my house had been reduced. Between the apartment rent I'd paid before moving in, the checks I'd written Raymond, the grocery bills I'd absorbed, to somewhere around 160. Keep your pension in your own account, Ms. Tran said. Non-negotiable. And I want you to think seriously about what it would take to establish your own housing again. I drove home in a kind of stunned silence, not because anything she said was surprising, because of how unsurprised I was. I told Raymond no, not in a big scene. Quietly, at the kitchen table, the same table where Cassandra had shown me the spreadsheet, I said that I would keep my pension in my own account and that I was happy to continue contributing to groceries and shared expenses, but that my income was mine to manage. Cassandra didn't say anything right away. She nodded in a controlled way. Raymond said, "Okay, Mom, I understand." What changed after that was not dramatic. It was incremental, which somehow made it worse. Cassandra stopped asking me to join them for dinner with their friends. Raymond started working late on the nights I'd been cooking. Lily, who cannot be blamed for any of this, was sometimes whisked off to activities at times that had previously been our time together. Our walks, our picture books, our routine of cereal and cartoons on Saturday mornings. I felt myself becoming smaller in that house, not pushed out, just reduced, like a houseplant being gradually moved away from the window. Then one Saturday morning in September, I came downstairs and found that the guest room lock had been changed. A new keypad, freshly installed, the kind with a code. My key no longer worked. I knocked on their bedroom door. Raymond answered. He was still in his pajamas. "There's a lock on my room," I said. He looked at the floor. He said, "We talked about giving Lily a bigger space, and we thought we could convert that room." "That's my room," I said. "That's where my furniture is. Where am I supposed to sleep?" "We were going to talk to you about it," he said. "When?" I asked. He didn't answer. I went back downstairs. I made coffee. I sat at the kitchen table and I thought about my house, the one I'd sold, the kitchen where I'd taught two children to cook, the bedroom where I'd lain awake after their father died, and I thought about how I had made choices I cannot unmake. And then I thought, the ones I can still make, I'm going to make differently. I called my sister that afternoon. "Come stay with me," she said, before I'd even finished explaining. "Come to Phoenix. You can figure the rest out from here." "I'm not moving to Phoenix, Diane." "Then figure it out from my couch. You need to be somewhere that isn't there." I spent the next 2 weeks doing things quietly. I met again with Miss Tran. I looked at senior apartments. There is a complex called Ridgewood Gardens about 12 miles from Fairbrook, income-based, nice grounds, a waiting list that I put myself on immediately. I called a tenants' rights attorney just to understand where I stood. I got a storage unit and started moving my things little by little when Raymond and Cassandra were at work. I did not tell them. The night I left, Lily was asleep. I had put her to bed myself, which I asked to do and they allowed, because whatever else was happening, they knew I loved that child. I read her 3 books. She fell asleep with her hand on my arm, the way she always does, and I sat there in the dark for a few minutes longer than I needed to. Then I got up and I carried the last box to my car. Raymond was in the living room. He saw me with the box. He looked at it and then at me. "Mom," he said. "I'm going to Diane's for a bit," I said. "I'll be in touch." "Mom, we can talk about this." "We can," I said. "We will, but not tonight." I drove to the Hilton Garden Inn that I had reserved with my own credit card, and I sat on the edge of the bed and I did not cry. I had expected to cry. Instead, I felt something I hadn't felt in almost 2 years, located, like I knew exactly where I was. I have been at Ridgewood Gardens for 4 months now. I am on the ground floor, which I requested, with a patio that gets morning sun. I have my reading chair and my books and my Tuesday night crime dramas. My pension goes into my account, and my account alone. My relationship with Raymond is what I would call under construction. We talk on the phone. We have had 2 dinners, neutral territory, a diner halfway between us that were careful and awkward, and also, I think, honest in a way we had not managed before. I told him at the second one that I did not blame him for all of it, that I had made choices too, that the woman who sells her house over chicken and Riesling without reading the fine print has to carry some of that. He cried, which surprised me. He is his father's son in that way, holds everything in until it's too much, and then it's all at once. Cassandra and I have not spoken directly. I think we will, eventually. I think she's not a villain. I think she's a woman who saw an opportunity and took it. And I think the person I am angry with, when I am honest about it, is the version of me who kept saying, "Let me think about it," and never finished the thought. I see Lily on Saturday mornings now, just me and her at a park between the 2 places. She always runs at me when she sees my car. Last week, she brought me a leaf she had found, very seriously, like it was a gift, and I took it very seriously because it was. I am 68 years old. I own nothing but my pension and my furniture and 4 months of mornings that are mine. That is not nothing. If you are a grandmother sitting somewhere right now thinking about selling your home to help your kids, thinking about letting your pension go into a joint account, thinking about saying yes one more time because it is easier than saying "let me think about it," and actually meaning it, I am not going to tell you what to do. You know your situation. You know your family. But I will tell you this. The first thing I did right in all of this was walk into a room with a professional who asked me, simply and without judgment, "Do you have somewhere to go if you need to leave?" Make sure the answer is yes before you give anything else away. There's a moment I keep coming back to. Not the night I left, not the conversation with Miss Tran, not even the morning I found the new keypad on my own bedroom door. It's the moment I sat across from Raymond at that dinner table in October and said, "Let me think about it," when what I meant was, "I don't want to disappoint you." That's where it started. Not with greed, not with Cassandra's spreadsheets, not with Raymond's careful silences. It started with me being unwilling to sit with the discomfort of saying a hard thing to someone I loved. Every time I said, let me think about it, and then said yes anyway, I was choosing short-term peace over long-term truth. And the truth has a way of collecting interest. I'm not saying Raymond and Cassandra are good people who did bad things or bad people who did predictable ones. I think they are ordinary people who were handed an opportunity and didn't examine what they were doing closely enough to see it clearly. That's a failure of something I'd call conscience. Not a dramatic, movie villain kind of conscience, but the quiet daily practice of asking yourself whether what you're taking is really yours to take. Raymond knew, somewhere in him, that his mother should not have been writing those checks. He knew it every time he looked at the table instead of at me. Conscience doesn't announce itself. It just goes quiet when you're not listening to it. What I failed at, for a long time, was thinking clearly. I had the information I needed. I had a sister who told me the truth. I had a friend who told me the same truth with better vocabulary. What I didn't have was the willingness to take that information seriously and act on it before the situation made the decision for me. The financial advisor didn't tell me anything I didn't already know. She just asked me the question I had been avoiding asking myself. Clear thinking is not about being cold or calculating. It's about being honest enough with yourself to name what's actually happening, even when naming it is painful. And then there's the part I'm most proud of and most tired from, the leaving. Not the dramatic leaving, not the scene I half expected and never got. The quiet, methodical, 2-week leaving, storage unit, phone calls, legal consultation, waiting list for Ridgewood Gardens. That kind of leaving requires a different muscle than the one I'd been using. It requires deciding that your own life is worth the effort of protecting, even when you're 68 and you sold your house and you've been writing checks and you feel, honestly, a little foolish. Getting up from a situation you helped create is harder than getting up from one that happened to you. I had to forgive myself for the choices I made before I could make different ones. That's not a small thing. Lily brought me a leaf last Saturday, very seriously, both hands like it was something precious. And I took it the same way because she was right. It was. I put it in the pocket of my coat. It's still there.